Hi, this is Tarot Combos where we draw two cards and talk about the energies and what we're feeling about how those interactions between the energies are coming up. So, what's with us today? Let's find out. We have Judgment, crossed by the Ace of Cups. Oh man. All the feels. We have the card of awakening, and this is awakening, and it can be at so many levels. This is the card of awakening to your authenticity, to your true nature, to your spiritual self. It's the card of like having lived in this, like, I don't want to say darkness, but it's like, oh man, there have been so many sirens today. There's a bunch coming down the road. It's, you know, when you've been living your life and you don't know you've been asleep until something happens that wakes you up, and you look back and say, oh man, I was asleep. You know, meaning asleep to something in your life. It could be asleep in the spiritual awakening sense. A lot of times this is the card of the spiritual awakening that's underway, that's happening. So if we want to read it like that, spiritual awakening, to me, the farther I get into this, it does feel like spiritual awakening and coming into your authenticity kind of feel the same. And when I say authenticity, it means you feel aligned all the way through. You feel whole, you feel aligned, you feel like there's no internal tension that's pulling you apart, that's making you like question how you feel about something. It's just you feel whoosh, aligned. And so if we take, let's just call it like that, the card of authenticity, alignment. It's the card of also like there's been a shift in your awareness. So you are waking up to someone new, like that maybe, or it's actually like not someone new, but someone you haven't felt has been there for a while, if at all. But it feels like finally you has arrived. And then it's challenged by the Ace of Cups, which is this card of just like this emotional like opening that seems like it's from the divine, meaning it's like I feel cracked open, I feel broken open in the best way, and I feel finally I'm able to tap into my emotions, I'm able to express my emotions. It might feel overwhelming, but usually maybe in a good way. Like I have not been able to access this depth of emotion for I don't know how long, and now it's coming. So how might that challenge the awakening? They kind of both feel like awakenings to who we've known has been in there, even though we haven't been able to access that person, that fullness, the wholeness, the authenticity, that the self that's like truer than true, bigger than big, fuller than full. Like, how do you describe this? So both of these kind of have that air about them. How might the, like, that emotional access get in the way of awakening to our alignment, our authenticity? To me, I can only think about the way that emotions feel like they run away from it, like we are overtaken by them, which seems to pull us into this extreme of like we're in the grip of emotion versus being able to not identify with emotion. So, and I think this kind of pulls me into that place of like, where does over-identifying with emotion, with that, the stories that we've told our whole lives that take us into that emotional space that we maybe haven't healed from, how does that get in the way of alignment, authenticity, healing, awakening? Because this shift that this card talks about is about integrating. It's like integration is now off and running, meaning I'm going to heal those old wounds, which fuels the awakening. And then every step of the way, things are locking into place. I kind of say that with integration because I don't know another way to kind of get the point across really quickly about what integration even is, because it is such a feeling. It's the way that, like, anything that's healed feels like it heals in all directions, all dimensions. You don't have to retrace a lot of steps. A lot of times you go back and really examine that, the point at which that wound occurred, and you give yourself the thing you didn't get in that moment. It like feels like it ripples forward through time. There's no need to retrace every single dysfunctional behavior or repeating pattern or all the wounds that carried, like, that happened because of that original wound. Sure, it's worth saying your sorries if you accidentally, unintentionally hurt other people. There's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't mean you have to rehash every little thing, because now it's like things have locked in. That healing feels like it just ripples out in all directions, and you feel a wholeness has come in, and all those little HOLEs, holes that were there that you kept trying to fill with like numbing mechanisms, distractions, other dysfunctional behaviors, whatever it is, that just like falls away. It's like it's not a thing anymore. So to me, that's what this is saying, is like, if I over identify with the wounds, with like the old stories I continue to tell myself about, this is who I am and why I'm this way, but you don't really do the work to repair those wounds, then we can sometimes over identify with them and say, this is just who I am, this is me, and I'm just gonna let my repeating patterns play out however they play out, versus like have that intention to really examine the thing and pause and not repeat, not let those patterns repeat. So that's the way that this over identifying with our old stories, our histories, and just say, that's who I am. It's like, but is it? This is the card of like, that's just gotten away from us. It's too much. It's like, it doesn't have to be that way. It's like calling things into balance. It's like, how do we examine our emotions in order to come into alignment so that they don't push, take us away with them? And it's not just emotions. It's really that the stories, the judgments, all the things that feels like that causes us anxiety, grief. Yeah. So, excuse me, where's my water? So that's what I'm feeling with these two, is that this is here. So where do you feel like you're being like called into that? Now's the time. Like, it's time to step into that authentic self, to let it be known, right? To get to know it. But like, what's standing in the way? What's standing in the way? And usually I love how these cards are playing together, because there's like, this gets in the way of this kind of helps fuel this. But with this is also a pointer to say, how do I examine what's rising up right now in my emotion body? What's rising up right now to examine? Because all I can do is, because we're being called into presence in this reading, it's like, don't be thinking about the future, don't ruminate on the past. What's rising up right now that we can look at that will help come into that authenticity, to help heal, like wake up from those old stories, like see it for what it is. So let's just call it an old story. What story do you feel like you repeat, wittingly or unwittingly, that kind of gets you swept away with the emotions that come along with it, or the judgments, or the negativity, or like emotions. There's like a bazillion, not just the standard happy, sad, but like what types of like things rise up in you, and what is one that is recent or current that you can look at that will help you shift into this awakening mode. Awakening mode. It's so silly to call it that, because it's like, what even is an awakening? It's something that can happen over and over and over again, as each time we look at the thing, another piece can lock into place and be like, bing, ah. Okay, let's do it again, bing, ah. Like, it's not a one and done. So, which I think is frustrating and encouraging. It really is. Like, to know that we're never done means, to me, I stop that seeking that can happen with like, let's get to the end. Let's just go, go, go until we get to the end. Well, there's no end. There's like no end. And I think that's beautiful to know that. To me, what that says is like, we have infinite potential. I don't just stop at this point and then like, oh, I'm fine, nothing bothers me. It's like, to me, to feel like there's no end is a very like positive thing. It means there's no limit to the peace I can eventually, ultimately feel through this examination and healing and releasing and letting go. And like, I say it all the time, but cry all the cries, feel all the feels, go into it versus go away from it. So this is the card of like the spiritual awakening journey, and it's cyclical. It's like, keep doing this, keep examining what's rising up within us, because that's the pointer, that's the jackpot, that's like the gold. And sometimes I'll feel like when nothing's happening, I don't know if you feel this way, like it's been a while since I've had like an uprising of something. Like, I've been in a pretty equanimous state for a while, really at peace, nothing's really bothering me. And then sometimes I'll even feel like, well, wait, there's got to be more. And then it's like, when's it coming? And then sure enough, like the next day, here it comes. I don't know, it seems to work that way. It's like something in me is like, okay, I feel ready for more. And then more comes. And I swear to God, there's like an infinite wisdom. And I feel like this divine hand kind of speaks to this, like the wisdom of the universe, the wisdom of our bodies, to know when we're ready for more. It's not going to happen if you're not ready, because there's such a self-protective mechanism built into us humans. I believe it. I don't know if there's any science around it, but I see it all the time and I believe it. I feel it in myself that there's such a self-preservation element to, if you want to call it the soul, since we're talking about a spiritual, like there's something that feels divine about that says, you're not going to self-destruct. You're not going to implode when you do this work, because this work, I don't even like to call it work, but I don't know another word for it. This willingness to do the shadow work, to look inward, to heal yourself, to heal the world, to work on yourself first so you can be more for yourself and for other people in this lifetime. Like, it's a service to humanity. And that's maybe why I feel like it is protected from the laws of the universe, or whoever's doing this and saying, you're not going to self-destruct. You're not going to implode when you do this work. It may feel like it at first, and then you take one step in and it's like a melting that happens. It's like, oh, all there is love. It felt like fear at first, but I stepped into the fear and then I was just embraced with grace and love. I'm getting all the chills because I feel like there's certain fundamental truths of the universe, and that's one of them. I don't think anybody's self-destructed from having a willingness to look inside their dark places. I think the self-destruction, or like you might say, well, they'll put me in a mental hospital, or whatever. I feel like maybe those are the times when that has happened, is when we're trying so hard not to look at the thing. I don't know, when we're trying to distract, we're trying to numb out, we're trying to do things to like not have to look and examine. But if we're willing to step into this, I feel like there's some rule that says you are protected, you are just fine. And guess what? On the other side of that threshold is nothing but unconditional love. So I don't know why I felt like saying that, but when you get these two cards together, I don't know what else there is to say. So yeah, this is the pointer. What's rising up right now, that's the thing to step into. You will be embraced. Bye.